In this episode, we are going to talk catfishing and the text chain. It's good.
Stoked.
Oh, my voice will be heard. I will no longer be silent. This is Sister Wives One-on-One.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny, and this is Senior Perspective. I'm glad you found me. We are going to talk about Sister Wives One-on-One, Part 3, the second half. Or dos, if you will. If you haven't seen my first video on this episode, go watch that first, because that'll cover really about 65% of the episode. And I'm going to do the rest right here. So in the last episode, we ended with the whole personality quiz and how Robin did not like her trait that was assigned to her.
That's an understatement.
Not that there's a whole lot more, but I think there's another video in me to just talk about that topic of the personality test. So in this section, we will begin with Suki asking Christine, can you name a reason why you don't like Robin? And instantly, Christine comes back with, well, I don't trust her. And we have heard that multiple times before. And for a long time, I didn't really understand what that meant, but over time, she's qualified it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more about how she says one thing, but she does another. How she keeps Cody all to herself, but says she wants the whole sister-wife family. So there's apparently a lot of discrepancies between what Robin says and what Robin does.
Sounds about right.
And Suki probes, so if you don't trust her, then how do you have a relationship with her? Which instantly Christine shuts back with, well, I'm not going to. Well, it's quite simple, actually. Then we cut to Mary talking about her relationship with Robin. And she says that they're at a point right now where they're working things out because it just looks different. And it looks different because she is now friendly with the wife of her ex-husband. I mean, it's no more weird than being friendly with the wife of your husband.
Good point.
So I don't really understand the disconnect here. I don't really understand anything that's changed because Cody really was never around when Robin and Mary got together. I don't think it's going to look any different, or at least it doesn't need to look any different. Now, I think it should look very different because I feel like Mary has received a lot of information about how Robin has been really the one to make her stay and hang on this whole time when clearly Cody never wanted it.
True dat.
I would be a little salty if it were me, and after a decade of listening to my sister wife tell me, hang on, he says these things in private, just don't give up. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10.
10 years.
Yes, 10 years.
You know how long it took me just to say that? Can you imagine living 365 days, 10 times, and still believing that he's coming back because Robin is telling you that? This doesn't excuse him of his behavior.
Don't get me wrong.
It is still, if we really analyze it, still very unclear exactly what Cody was saying to Mary when the cameras weren't on. He admitted himself that he's waffled in terms of sending signals to Mary about stay or go. We're going to get more into that later. So Mary concludes it by saying that she is just not emotionally 100% there yet in terms of having a relationship with Robin. One can hope she's at about 9 to 10%, but I think she's probably closer than that.
Maybe 15 or 20. Now. 15?
So Suki says, so do you still consider Robin your sister wife? And instantly Mary's like, well, no. Suki asks, are you less lonely up there in Parowan? And Mary says yes. I mean, that makes sense. When she was down in Flagstaff, it didn't appear that she had a lot of friends there. We've never seen one, so one could assume she had no friends there, but everything's just an assumption. So she was staying there because of her friendship with Robin, and that was made very clear in previous episodes that Robin wasn't calling her, texting her, or having her come over. For like 2 years.
How rude.
You want to talk about a shitty sister wife. Suki asks Mary if she has a larger support system in Parowan, which seems obvious. And she says yes, and she refers to Jen, her best friend, who she said is the one person in the past decade that she can 100% trust.
'Cause you're my bestie, and if you test me, I'll prove it time and time again. I've got your back until the end.
I do think it's pretty great that I don't know how much Mary shared with Jen for a long time, because Mary shared a lot with Sam, the catfisher. I can't remember the lady's real name. But the catfishing lady who Mary thought was a hot young guy that wanted her. Okay. That would have been a red flag there for me. Can I just say, we're going to talk about the catfishing thing later. But if all of a sudden I started talking to somebody and this picture kept popping up and it was this hot young guy, some hot young guy is writing me and saying how much he's in love with me, I'm just going to be like, yeah, no. Don't believe it. I'm sorry, Mary's about my age. I wouldn't buy it for a second. And if it was true, I would think something's wrong with him.
He's got issues.
Oh, especially since they never met and made this strong emotional connection by spending all this time together. Never once met in person.
Big red flag.
Okay, I digress. Let's get back. We're going to talk about that later. Mary says that she trusts Jen and that Jen has her back. And Suki says, you don't trust your sister wives? And Mary says, I don't think they have my back. Okay, she didn't really answer the question. That was a good question on Suki about not being able to trust any of your sister wives. But she just said they don't have her back. She says Jen will support her in anything that she wants. So I don't really know what that line means. I mean, I don't know if the other sister wives didn't support her in things that she wanted. I don't know what Mary wanted that they didn't support her in. Oh, wait. Yes. She wanted to go to college. Oh. Let's reminisce. Mary was desperate to go to college. She looked into it. She had been going to college, actually. I'd been going back and watching some of the earlier episodes. Right from, I think it was season 1, episode 1. Right from the beginning, they show Mary on a laptop doing her schooling to get her psychology degree or social work. I can't remember, but she wanted to work with at-risk youth, which she was working with at-risk youth, but she was probably an 8 or something, and she wanted to work up, have a higher title, make more money.
Can't argue with that.
And so she was doing that right from the beginning. So I remember being shocked when I found out Janelle was doing this, but I had forgotten Mary was actually online going to school too. Now, Janelle completed her degree. Mary stopped. I don't know why she stopped, but she eventually, when she was in Vegas, wanted to get back into it, wanted to go back to school after Mariah was getting ready to leave and she was going to be an empty nester, and Robin put the brakes on that. Talk about a supportive sister wife.
You can't do that. You can't do that to friends. You can't do that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Educate yourself. Yes. That's something you've always wanted to do. I'm so happy for you. You should do that. Or even if she didn't want to, she could say something like, so tell me what's that going to look like? How many classes will you take? How busy will you be? I'm going to miss you. Even if in her head translation was, I want you to be working on Sister Wives Closet because I don't want to do the work for it. I just wanted to be the brainchild and the face of it. But I want you 3 sister wives to do all the work. And Mary, you have the most time with the least amount of kids, so you can do the most amount of work. So please don't go back to college. So that's a subtext going on in her head.
True.
I'm going to go ahead and find it and insert a clip here of Robin's reaction and her way of being supportive when Mary said, I want to go back to college.
I know that she knows that I'm thinking about it and that I have this desire.
You can do anything! Anything's possible! The world is yours!
Do you really think Robin's going to have that much of a problem?
She's going to struggle with it, but the thing is, Cody, I mean, I've been supportive of her with this dream of hers. But it's not my dream. My dream is to go back to school and to get this degree.
You go, girl. You go, girl. You go, girl.
Go, girl. I've been thinking a lot about needing to do something for me, and I'm going to go back to college. And I'm going to do it starting fall semester. Okay.
When Mary told me that she wants to go back to school, it took me everything in me not to just walk out the door.
How can you ever trust somebody like that?
Like, my dream has to be to finish college.
I feel sort of ditched by Mary.
This isn't about you.
It's, what am I gonna do?
Sorry.
What she's talking about is going to school to maybe possibly start a career that's completely separate from what it is we're trying to do. But
The audacity!
The sickening thing about that whole scene is the fact that Mary was so incredibly nervous throughout it. She was scared to death to tell Robin that she wanted to do this. She was fidgeting. It reminds me of like a young kid having to admit to you something they did wrong. You know, they fidget in their chair and they're like, well, this is what I did. Yes, I hit my brother and that's why his head is bleeding. This happened with my daughters. I whacked her over the head with a stick because I just wanted to see what would happen, and it bled. They're perfectly normal and fine now, trust me.
are you sure?
Anyway, it's that same kind of shame, embarrassment, body language of curling in, writhing your hands, looking down, not being able to make eye contact because she wanted to go to college and advance herself. Kind of crazy, right? So yeah, in reality, we know for a fact Robin, we don't see examples of Christine and Janelle unless you can think of some and write them down below. I can't think of any right now, but in general, she believes that they don't have her back and they're not as supportive as Jen. Jen will support her in anything.
Besties.
So Suki starts pressing about the sister wives thing. Mary says, well, I don't have sister wives. So there's clarification on that. But then Mary goes on to say Robin does have her back. So I guess she just means the other two don't have her back. So she now says that Robin does have her back. And Suki says, okay, so do you trust her implicitly? Of which Mary says, no. Suki asks why, and this is where Mary starts to explain the catfishing situation, which is still confusing to me. But it's the first time they're talking about the fact that there is some sort of link or connection between Robin and the catfisher.
Shut up.
But that leap and that line, the chains are still broken. It's still unclear. What she did admit to is that Robin had a friend, and this friend who we met, do you remember the episode, and I just watched this recently, the episode when they went to San Francisco?
Kendra is like a dear friend of mine, and we've been talking a lot about some of the ideas for my sister wife's closet.
Because they wanted to get dresses for their mission statement event that they were going to put together.
And she's got a background in fashion, and she lives really close to San Francisco, and so she's going to kind of show us some of the shops in the area.
Why they had to go to San Francisco to do this? It's not like the mecca of fashion, San Francisco. I don't know why they didn't just go to LA. But Robin had a friend up there who's into fashion and who was consulting with Robin already on getting some fashion stuff involved in my sister wives closet, which is interesting. I didn't know they sold any fashion. Let me know if they did, because the website is defunct right now. I thought it was just the ugly jewelry, and if she consulted with the design of the jewelry, she couldn't have consulted with the design of the jewelry. It's really not ugly. It's really elementary. It's jewelry and designs that my kids would have worn in elementary, maybe even middle school. And that's it.
Girl, the shade of it all.
Grown women don't wear these type of designs. So I think it was clothing that was in there. So let me know if they sold clothes. So this friend of Robin's apparently lives nearby San Francisco. I mean, she lives in California, I guess. And so she drove in to show them some of the great shops where they can look for clothes.
I think we're going to start at a little boutique called Elizabeth Charles, and it's beautiful.
Cool.
Sounds fun.
I'm excited.
It'll be fun.
It was a total mess. She picked terrible stores. They found nothing. The one store literally were all size 2 dresses, really. And so Robin said, well, I'll try them all on for you. Okay, I'm digressing. That's another, I need to go back and just start doing recaps, starting with season 1, episode 1. If you're interested in that, let me know. Because so much of this stuff I have forgotten. And so much of it is interesting to watch now through different eyes. I never liked Robin, quite frankly, from day one.
None of us did.
But it's interesting to watch everything now with the benefit of having the knowledge of where they are in their lives today. So this friend of Robin shows up and takes them around, and her name is Kendra. Apparently, this Kendra, who lives near San Francisco, was contacting Robin and sharing information with Robin about Mary.
What did you say?
Okay. So right away, it's bizarre. Oh, okay, how does Kendra, who just met Mary on this trip, have any information about Mary? Something is fishy in all of that. So Mary says at the time that the catfishing was going on, this friend of Robin's was inserting herself into the mix. So what Kendra was saying to Robin was, Mary's having an affair.
Oh my.
So the big question is, how did Kendra in California know that Mary in Las Vegas was having an online affair with Sam? We don't even know where Sam lives. The one time that Mary finally was going to meet him in person was in Orange County, California, to go to Disneyland. Maybe you know where Sam was supposed to live, or where the actual catfisher did live. So I'm going to play a clip. I might insert myself in the middle, and if I seem like I'm interrupting, it's just because I can only do the clip in about 10-second increments, or it gets a copyright strike. But I want you to see the whole thing, because to me it's a little bit clear here. I think Suki thinks this friend is actually the catfisher, who was a friend of Robin's. Let me play the dialogue.
Robin husband.
But you don't trust her implicitly.
No.
Here's a little bit more of it.
Why?
During the catfishing situation, there was a friend of Robin's at the time
Keep watching.
that kind of inserted herself, meaning
The person who catfished you.
crazy person,
Yeah.
psycho.
That catfished you. Okay.
Yeah.
So when Suki says, in clarifying, the person who catfished you, Mary responds with, crazy person, a psycho. I don't know if the crazy person and the psycho is the catfisher, or if the crazy person and the psycho is the friend of Robin's, Kendra.
They're both cray-cray.
So she says this friend of Robin's who was feeding her information and making her and Cody believe that I was off having an affair. I don't know. I want to know, how did Kendra find out about this relationship between Sam? I'm just going to call him Sam because I can't remember what the lady's real name is. Mary thought it was this hot young dude named Sam the whole time. How did she know about it? How is Kendra friends with Sam? Inquiring minds want to know.
I know, me too.
And I don't know if Mary's ever going to fess up. So Kendra's telling Robin Mary's having an affair. And Mary says, and then Robin would talk to me. And I'm like, Robin, I've never met this person.
That's not true.
Okay. So right there, Mary's lying. Because the relationship between her and Sam is happening online. Okay, they haven't met in person. But the dirty talk and the sexting and the, inappropriate pictures of a banana, fellatio. And I mean, we've seen a lot of this online, and we remember back to an episode where Mariah, when the catfishing scandal was revealed, Mariah talking and saying that she overheard her mom on the phone with Sam, and to her it sounded like sexting. okay? If you don't want to call that an affair, I mean, to each their own. That is a full-on affair to me.
An affair to remember.
If my husband was sexting on the phone and sending dirty pictures back and forth with someone, he's having an affair. If that doesn't make it an affair, what does? I'm more hurt by an emotional affair than I would actually be a physical affair, quite frankly. And I think a lot of women are that way.
Indeed.
All right, so she said Robin would then talk to her about what Kendra told her, and she would say, I've never met this person. Well, it's probably her way of getting around it because she never met the person in person.
That's really clever.
And Mary, in all her brilliance, never FaceTimed Sam. But how Mary went this long, I don't know. Don't want to keep slamming Mary. I did a lot of slamming Mary in the last couple videos.
You sure did.
But honestly, how naive do you have to be, even when your daughter is pointing out, Mom, this isn't right. So Mary says that she told Robin, I don't know what you're talking about. And apparently that just kept going on. She kept feeding information to Robin. Robin was obviously sharing it also with Cody. And then she was approaching Mary and saying, I heard this is happening now, and I know this is happening. And apparently this wasn't in this episode, but according to a Reddit thread, apparently Kendra claims she met Sam.
Allegedly.
Which would mean that Kendra knew this whole time the whole thing was a scam, and the affair was a catfishing situation. Do you think if that's true, Kendra kept that information from Robin? Or that she told Robin, hey, this is what's going down right now?
You are literally blowing my mind right now.
Or was she really close with the catfisher? And they were both kind of in on it. And so she was just saying Mary's having an affair, but she knew the real time it was a catfisher. Or did she say Mary's being catfished? She's having an affair, she thinks, but it's really a woman. And Robin was in on it and not saying anything. I don't know. There's so many questions and so many directions this could go because we don't have the information of that link between Kendra and the catfisher.
You know what I would give?
So Mary said at this time, these interactions with Robin were making her upset and it caused her to pull back and had a lack of trust between her and Robin. So what I want to know is, did she pull back from Robin because she was upset that Robin kept accusing her of something that she was saying isn't happening? Or is she pulling back from Robin because she's starting to realize there's a connection here? Robin knows what's going on between me and Sam, and I don't know how she knows.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
And so she pulled back from Robin because she didn't want Robin involved in this relationship. Or is she saying after it was all revealed that Sam wasn't really a dude and it was a woman, and then she started blackmailing Mary? At that point, did she pull back from Robin? Again, realizing Robin knew a lot about what was going on, so somehow Robin's fingers are in this, but there's no way to figure out how.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
I have some notes here that say, oh, it's an affair. Because Mary keeps denying and saying she didn't have an affair and nothing really happened. And I mean, that's just her trying to cover her butt now, in hindsight. She was ready to walk out the door. She said a lot of things. You remember that in Alaska, that's where I was the most shocked in that. I haven't even rewatched that episode yet. But I remember it from watching it when it first aired, how Mary kept talking about how she wasn't sure if she was going to be around anymore, and she wasn't sure about if she was going to be in the family. And this was during the conversations about them moving to Flagstaff. And I'm like, is Mary cutting and running? Is she just done with this family? I don't know. And I think at that time, because Mary was truly having an emotional affair and was falling in love with Sam, as part of that, in their long conversations, she was divulging family secrets. Family secrets that Sam eventually went and wrote in a book, I believe, somewhere. But the interesting thing, and most people discounted the book because Sam, whoever the lady's name is, clearly is a liar and a manipulator. So people didn't believe anything that was in the book because how can you trust this person? But one of the stories that was in the book was Ringgate that just came out that Mary was so upset about. So maybe other stories in that book are true too. We'll never know. because the catfisher truly is a liar. But that story was true. I'm convinced she was ready to just pick up and run based on that conversation in Alaska with the rest of the family. Like, I found somebody else who actually loves me. When you think of it that way, it's actually very sad, isn't it? Mary never felt love from Cody, and then she finally does. She's so vulnerable that she fell for this with zero proof of who he actually was. So Mary was going to go meet the catfisher. It's not an affair, no. The kicker in all of this is that Mary tags this conversation with, but that trust that was lost, that's built back up.
So I pulled way back, and so it kind of caused a lack of trust between me and Robin. But that trust is built back up.
I mean, it's not really built back up. This is the Brown family saying two different things in answer to the same question, something Cody and Robin do all the time. If we go back to the beginning of this questioning, she admits that her relationship with Robin isn't the same right now and that they're working things out. And Suki said, do you trust her implicitly? And she said, no. Flat out, no.
No.
And now she says their trust is built back up. So somehow that happened in the last couple of minutes while she was answering these questions. Now, Robin's version of this story is slightly different. Shocker. She leaves out the fact that her and Cody believed what Robin's friend Kendra was saying and that they kept going to Mary and confronting her with the information. She doesn't say that, not at first anyway, because we know as Robin keeps talking, more stuff keeps leaking out, right? We've learned this. So here's her initial reaction to it.
There was somebody that was trying to convince me that there was something going on, and I finally just said to this person, I don't believe you, and unless you've got proof, I don't want you to talk about it with me anymore.
Yeah. Robin makes it seem like she heard this information from her friend Kendra and went straight to, I don't believe you. That's not how it went down. And then Robin goes on to say, I kept telling her everything. I was being honest. Oh, so you did keep saying, I heard this now, I heard that now, I heard this. So you didn't cut her off at the pass and say, I don't believe you, give me proof. Okay.
I told her anything and everything that I was being told because I wanted her to understand what was happening.
The truth comes out. So Suki then says to Robin, okay, so now it was then afterwards a process of rebuilding trust between the two of you. And Robin says, no.
And then it was a process of rebuilding your trust with each other, right?
No, because our relationship, there wasn't a problem in our relationship in my head.
Robin denies that she had to rebuild anything. In fact, she blames Mary.
Mm-hmm. What there was my understanding was because she was in this weird, awkward place and she felt scared to talk to anybody. Not because of something I was doing.
Not guilty, of course.
Oh, it was because Mary was in an awkward place in her head. It was not because of something Robin was doing. Robin didn't do anything wrong in all of this. No. So now Suki is kind of prying into the fact that, okay, Mary's leaving the family after all this time. And she said, do you think it's a good idea for Mary to leave? And Robin says, yeah. Like her puppy just died.
Ultimately, that's a good thing for Mary right now.
To leave.
Yeah.
Oh, the dramatics that are coming up are incredible. Suki's doing a positive thing here saying like, so now your sister wife or your ex-sister wife can go and live her life, and Robin inserts under her breath, she's not my ex-sister wife. She's my sister wife. Robin is the victim here. Mary's treated like crap for a decade. Robin keeps her in the crap for that decade. And when it all blows up and finally Mary sees the light and she leaves, Robin is the victim after the tormenting she did to this woman for all these years.
Oh, spare me.
Forcing her to stay in this relationship. It's crazy to me. Robin cannot see past herself. She cannot see past her own selfishness. She can't want what's best for a friend. She can't be a good friend. It's all about Robin and how it affects Robin. And Robin is sad that Mary is going and taking her funds with her.
I want my money.
Because she's not going to miss the relationship. Mary made it very clear that not only was Robin not having Mary come over for years, but she wasn't even calling or texting her. What does Mary lose in all of this? Nothing. What does Robin lose? Mary's money. I mean, Christine's gone, Janelle's gone, Mary's gone. Robin might have to get a J-O-B.
Here you go. It's alphabet soup. I made it special.
We have Robin fake crying again. That's going to be a whole separate video too. Oh, you guys have to keep reminding me about the videos that I'm saying I'm going to make. So this is the clip that we've seen in the teasers before where Robin says, she's still my sister wife. And so is Janelle. And so is Christine. I'll try to remember to slice it in here and show you because she has that snarky little, it's not as blatant as the thanks a lot, Christine, but it's there. It's there, you can hear it. The difference between Mary's my sister wife and so is Janelle. Pause, beat. And so is Christine. Like, oh, twist my arm. So is Christine.
How do you see her?
She says she's my sister. So is Janelle. So is Christine.
And then she starts her crying again, or fake crying, because we never saw one tear come down. Ever. Never saw one tear. We saw her eyes a little glassy at times, but it's very easy to make your eyes glassy. All you do is stare and not blink, and you can make your eyes glassy. So that's meaningless. It's full on tears coming down. Everyone can act like this and just stare. That, I don't buy any of it. And the dramatics and the theatrics come right here.
Sorry, I don't know how to let this go.
I don't know how to let this go. Why is this so hard? I mean, it's straight out of a melodrama, right? You ever see one of those farcical kind of plays on stage where they're over dramatic and funny? But the best part of all of this is that she adds the line, and I'm not being dramatic, Christine. This is the most dramatic thing she said so far. She can't even say it without being dramatic.
And this isn't me just being dramatic. Thank you, Christine. Oh, so horrible to have her say that.
Her behavior is the definition of dramatic.
And the Oscar goes to...
And then we cut to Christine, who's talking about...
Is this about your gift exchange?
The text exchange regarding the gift exchange between the kids. So we go from one hot button topic to another. This episode was good in terms of content.
It sure was.
Christine has a little talk about it at the beginning about how this is a good thing and they've been doing it for years and the kids always do exchanges and they always draw each other's name. It's a Christmas tradition and that it's their thing. Like the parents aren't even involved anymore. The parents had the kids all draw names as well as the adults. All the names were in the hat for many, many years until Robin came around and Cody started showering those kids with an abundance of gifts. But before that, everybody had one name. Parents and kids were all in the same bucket, and that's what they got for Christmas. And Mary made pajamas for everybody as well. There may have been one other parent that gave something to everybody, a generic thing to everybody. I don't know. But the point being, this is how Christmas has been. And so this Christmas tradition of drawing names and exchanging gifts started at the beginning of the family. All right, so we get a little bit more clarification. There's still some nuances of this text chain that I don't understand. What I would give to read the text chain. Peyton, you seem like the kind of person that would leak this. Honestly, I know your mom is probably telling you not to, but I would love to read that text chain. And I think the only reason why Robin and Robin's kids and Christine and her kids and Janelle and her kids, nobody's leaked it is because everybody's hands are dirty in it. I think at least one of somebody in Janelle's family said something snarky at some point. I know that Gwendolyn said something snarky at one point. And it wasn't even that funny. It was something about having the wives compete with each other. I didn't even understand it, quite frankly. If you can explain that below, too. It kind of seemed benign. She mentioned it on a previous episode this season when they were all sitting at the Airbnb table with Janelle and Garrison and Savannah, Gabe and Gwendolyn, and they were talking about this. And Gwendolyn's like, well, I said a joke at one point, but then nobody really took it as a joke. So I was like, okay, sorry. I don't think it was a very good joke. It's not a good joke if people can't get it.
This is no time to be laughing.
But I don't know the context of what was said and before and after, what it was couched in, so maybe it was brilliant. Nevertheless, I think Robin wasn't very nice on the text chain, and her kids were throwing things out as well. So I think everyone's hands are dirty, so nobody wants to reveal the text thread because either they don't want themselves to look bad or they don't want one of their immediate siblings to look bad. So will we ever see it? I don't know. Someday when Sister Wives is off the air, somebody will leak it.
So I guess a girl can dream.
So they're on this text thread. I thought originally Robin was pushing for a video chat of the revealing of the gifts and that they didn't want to do it. Like they wanted to meet in person and that she didn't want to because of COVID restrictions, that her kids weren't allowed to participate. But on this episode, listening to people talk, I don't think that's the case. I think they were all texting about the gift exchange and how that was going to go down and all that. And Robin said, let's jump on right now and do a video chat with everybody because that way my kids can see all the other kids. And everyone's like, no, we're texting because we're living our lives. Like, we didn't plan. There's no way you're going to just instantly like that get 13 kids to come on to a video chat because you're available right now. So they were getting pushback. According to Janelle, the kids wanted, if they were going to do a video chat to discuss all this, they wanted to schedule it. Like, okay, if we're going to do a video chat, we're not doing it now. We can't do it now.
Okay, that makes sense.
So Maddie was pushing back because it was 9 o'clock at night, so it was evening there, and her kids were probably in bed already because they're very young. My kids went to bed at like 7 or 8 when they were that age. So if they weren't in bed, they were in the process of getting into bed, where it was only 7 o'clock, or maybe it was even 6 o'clock. I don't know if they're 2 or 3 hour time difference. Nevertheless, it was earlier in the evening for Robin, so she could put her kids on. They hadn't gone to bed yet. So Madison's like, well, let's schedule. And she didn't want to schedule, and she felt like she was getting pushback because if Robin doesn't get her way, then people don't like her, and they're bullying her.
Hey. Everybody's picking on me.
I mean, we've seen that pattern for years. Victim, 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 victim. She has a total victim mentality. So for people saying they don't want to jump onto Zoom, I can't even believe she took it personally.
Always the victim.
But she felt like people could all drop everything because this was her idea. So then apparently Robin throws out, she really wants to do the Zoom call now because her kids don't remember their siblings. They don't even remember what they look like.
No way.
That is unbelievable to me. If that's true, Robin dropped the ball as a parent in a major way. My kids had relatives that lived in Alaska. And this is before there was ever such a thing as FaceTime. They knew exactly what their grandma, what their aunts, what their uncles, what their cousins all looked like. We have photos around the house. We talk about them. If Robin's kids don't know what their siblings look like, it's because Robin doesn't have a photo around her house of their siblings. It's because she doesn't talk about them. It's because she doesn't encourage it. It's because she doesn't point them out and say, who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Yeah. She didn't parent properly.
It's about to go down.
And because she didn't parent properly and she's realizing now, wait, my kids won't even know what these other kids look like, she's taking it out on everybody else because they can't drop everything and get on the Zoom call for her two young tenders to see their faces. This is crazy. So when there was pushback, Robin said, fine, I'm out. Now at that point, I believe fine, I'm out didn't mean I'm out of the gift exchange. I've learned this in this last episode. Fine, I'm out meant I'm getting out of the text exchange, which is good. She really probably shouldn't have been in there anyway.
That's probably true.
But I get that Solomon and Ari are young and they wouldn't have been on the text exchange. Or even if they were, she would be monitoring. I would be monitoring it if my kids were 10 years old and they were on this. I mean, maybe. I don't know if they were 10. I don't know that I'd be monitoring it. But she has such a distorted perception of reality that she truly thinks that all these kids hate her children and bully them.
Hey, wait a minute. That's not true.
So yeah, she would be on it, because if I truly in my heart believe that these kids were bullying and mean to my children, there's no way I would just say like, yeah, start texting them. But that's another problem, because that's not reality either. It's all in her head. So I think it's funny how she says, fine, I'm out. Well, okay, it's a kids exchange you were never in. What's interesting is that Christine was not on the text exchange. So I wonder if Truly was. I don't know if one of her sisters was there next to her at the time, or she just probably wasn't. And I bet Christine was just relying on the other siblings to share with her how Truly was going to be involved in it, because the older siblings were involved in it. The parents didn't have to be. Robin's kids are in their 20s, or at least late teens at the time. One of them could have communicated, this is what we're doing for the kids exchange, and this is how Solomon and Ari are involved, and this is how we can find the names they have for the exchange. Robin didn't have to be a part of it. So she inserted herself in, just like she does with the relationships with the wives and Cody.
Insufferable.
And then at that point, apparently after Robin said she was out, she said then it snowballed and became a squabble between her kids and a bunch of the other kids. I don't know what a bunch is. I don't know how many's in this bunch. But apparently they started squabbling back and forth. Cody said when the text thread was going on, I was staying out of it. I wasn't going to pick sides one way or the other.
He's a scaredy cat.
Well, Cody, let me give you a word of advice. Once a parent, always a parent. There is no reason when this was all going on that you couldn't have been looking over the shoulder or gotten involved in it. You didn't have to pick sides. This is what he doesn't understand. He thinks by getting involved in the text thread that he would have to pick sides, and obviously he'd pick Robin's side, so he didn't want all the other kids seeing him picking Robin's side because he doesn't know how to parent. He doesn't know how to be a mediator. He doesn't know how to look at a situation neutrally. He can't parent. Probably because he never had to parent. The wives did the parenting. And poor Robin's kids are stuck with Robin as the parent. Everyone else got Christine.
Yeah.
So I guess he's showing his hand here and saying, I didn't get involved because then everybody would know I'm on Robin's side. I'm not neutral here. I can't be unbiased. I'm not mature enough.
I'm a loser.
And then Christine just refers to the text thread as insane. She said it was insane and that she did not realize how Robin's kids felt. So apparently Robin's kids started emoting and sharing how they felt, or at least now in this day and time, and how they are interpreting their past life, how they felt. Because I think they've been fed a lot of information that is tarnishing how they feel about their siblings and tarnishing how they interpret their siblings feel about them. Christine adds that after hearing how Robin's kids felt, she just feels like this is a situation that needs to be handled in therapy. Christine was shocked that Robin's kids said that they have not felt like they were ever a part of the family since the very beginning. It's hard to believe that because we have a lot of videotape of the family, like random at situation, different parties and situations,
And her perception is a little, distorted.
These girls were sitting on the boys' laps. They were laughing and playing and excited to have sleepovers with the other girls. I think this is rewriting history now. I think Robin is telling them, well, you were never part of the family. They never wanted you here, so you really were never part. And they're like, yeah, I guess I never really did feel a part. And she probably picks one incident about remember when this happened and you didn't feel a part of it, so you never felt like you were part of this family. I think that's how it's going down. And then Robin says, I was being told that the kids hated me. Oh. Good follow-up question from Suki. Not that it matters. But good follow-up question was, who is telling you this? And Robin can't do it.
Cough it up.
Her answer, a person. Okay. Process of elimination here. Who would be telling her that all the kids hate her? A person is telling her that all the other kids hate her. Okay, so it has to be somebody outside of the kids that would be this person. Well, it's not going to be her kids and her family telling her that. It's just a person. Who would be the one person that would tell Robin, all the kids hate you?
Cody!
Cody is the worst. Honestly. He's the worst parent and he's the worst husband.
Now don't hold back.
In terms of keeping a family together, he's clueless. He creates so much division by telling this one that and telling this one that. He told Robin, all the kids hate you. It makes you wonder, did he want this division in the family? Because you'd have to be a complete imbecile to not know that that is going to be the result.
If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck.
He's creating a war. This battle that he talks about within his family. He's starting it all, and he's fueling it as well. So people saying we can't jump on a video call right now morphed because of Robin, who has been being told none of the kids like you, they all hate you. This now morphed into, you've always treated us so badly. I'm tired of working on this. I don't want to work on it anymore.
It's disgusting to be related to you.
Janelle says that it's so bad that the kids are saying that they don't even want to have families themselves.
And then it blew up into this whole thing about, well, you've always treated us so badly. I'm so tired of working on this, and I've always been treated so badly. And we were like, wow, just wow.
Wow.
I mean,
Who said that?
That was Robin.
Oh, Robin said
Robin was like, you guys have treated me so badly. I'm so tired. I don't want to work on this anymore. And then all of a sudden our kids started piling in with, you treated us so horribly. We're never going to want to have our own families because this was such a horrible experience. And I'm like, whoa.
Robin says at this point in the conversation that her kids were just trying to express themselves and the other kids were mocking.
But were they?
Robin said that her kids felt very ganged up on the rest of the text thread. And so they came to her and said, quote, we don't feel emotionally safe to be a part of this gift exchange anymore. Yeah, I don't think they said that. I'm not sure I would even use those words. I don't feel emotionally safe. I think I would just say, yeah, I wasn't comfortable with this. I don't want to be a part of it anymore, if I really felt that way. I don't think I would ever say, I don't feel emotionally safe to be participating in this anymore. So I doubt that her kids said that. I think this is Robin speak, trying to make it seem a little bit more dramatic than it really was.
I'm not being dramatic!
And who's to say Robin didn't say, do you really feel emotionally safe to participate in this anymore? You know that they all hate you. They hate our whole family. And you saw how they were reacting. Do you really want to continue to participate? Oh, you don't? Okay. We'll have your back. Don't worry. Your dad and I have your back. We'll say that it was our decision. So apparently another text went out from Robin. We don't know how much time afterwards, next day or whatever. And it said, Dad and I have decided our kids are not going to do the gift exchange anymore. Christine said that her kids were devastated by it, which is kind of sad. I doubt they were devastated. I think that's a little hyperbolic. But I do believe that they were probably sad. I know that Isabel and Truly are friends with the girls. And McKelty is friends with Robin's whole family.
No one can figure that out.
So I can see that it hurt them because it's kind of ending the tradition of the whole family participating, but it's going back to how it once was. OG3. Christine adds that her kids said, what does this mean? I thought these were our siblings. Yeah, I don't know if they said that either. I just got to be fair. Call a spade a spade. I don't believe what Robin said her kid said. I'm not really sure that this is what Christine's kid said. And Christine makes a very important point here in saying that there wasn't a division in the family. There wasn't animosity. The kids all like the other kids, but now there is a division, and it's because of Robin.
Yep.
Which is ironic because Robin kept claiming, I guess put it out there in the universe, right? Keep saying over and over and over again that the kids don't like you and that you're not welcome into the rest of the family. And eventually it will happen. And it appears that maybe it's happened now. And according to Janelle and Christine, they feel like there may not be any coming back from this. This might be the end of Robin and her kids participating in anything with the family going forward.
Wow, I don't like learning things that make me sad.
We'll see. Time heals all wounds, right? Christine said that they tried very hard, always, to include Robin and her kids in everything, which is true. The minute those kids arrived in the family, everything was like the whole family together all the time, or all the girls together. It seemed pretty seamless online, but we learned that it really wasn't, which if you reflect back on it, how could it be? But they did a very good job of putting their best foot forward in those early seasons of Sister Wives.
Appearances can be deceiving.
Christine said she had no idea because they just blended everything and incorporated the kids right away, that Robin felt like that. But then Janelle adds that Robin, first of all, has a weird paranoia. That's why she felt like she never belonged. I think that the Sister Wives just continued on as they always did. And Robin wanted special treatment. She wanted people to always call her and say, hey, come on over, buddy, have a cup of coffee, let's do this. And that's not how the wives functioned. So they continued to function in their own lives, which were pretty independent of each other because they all lived in the same house. They interacted all the time. But other than that, they weren't best friends. And Robin came in and wanted everybody to be like, come with me, do things with me, I love you. And that's not how it was. And so she felt like nobody tried.
I'm just a poor Cinderella. Nobody loves me, it seems.
Suki says to Robin, Janelle and Christine said that their kids did not know or understand how your kids felt until the text thread. And Robin denies that right away. She said that's not necessarily true. She said that she approached both moms saying that a child of yours is being hard on a child of mine. Well, of course. I only have 3 kids. Was one hard on another one and they didn't get along at different times? And my kids get along great. They are very respectful of each other and they enjoy each other's company. But was there bickering at times? Yeah. And for her to think this is special of her, let's just step back for a second. We've seen plenty of incidences of Janelle and Christine's and even Mary's child bickering and arguing with each other to the point that I think it was Peyton took a stick or something and whacked it over the head. Ironic, because I was just talking about that.
Sounds like an epidemic.
Whacked it over the head of, I think it was Garrison, and his head was bleeding at that time. So funny. My daughters did the exact same thing when they were about 7 and 5.
Well, kids will be kids, right?
We're watching full-on violence, if you will, with the boys with each other, of which 10 seconds later, it was over and Garrison was laughing about the fact his head was bleeding. Maybe it was Gabe. Anyway, it was Peyton and then one of Janelle's boys that had this altercation. And it was like, make up with each other. And they were like, rah, and then it was fine. And Janelle and Christine basically stayed out of it. They let them resolve it themselves. And there was actually interviews about that afterwards where Janelle's like, I don't know. Maybe I should be more hands-on, but we kind of let the kids work it out. So that's the environment that Robin, as a helicopter mom with her kids, came into the family. And it just didn't blend seamlessly.
So like oil and water.
And the fact that each of them, she had an incidence where each of them had one child that wasn't kind to one of her children. Well, welcome to the family. Do you want to be treated like a family member or don't you? Because that's what siblings do. They fight at times until they grow up. Robin then says, my kids wanted to belong, and they had some of the other kids kind of telling them they didn't belong, and they weren't part of the family, and things like that. This ambiguous language again.
Well, she actually kind of sort of.
They had some of the other kids kind of telling them they didn't belong. They didn't tell them they didn't belong, but they kind of told them they didn't belong. Well, what does that mean, Robin? And they weren't part of the family and things like that. Well, be specific, because that seems pretty important if they came right out and said, you're not part of our family. I think I would remember that. But thank you for the ambiguity. Suki asks Mary, did you blend well as a family when Robin and her family came in? And Mary said, well, we tried, but Mary has learned since then that many people don't feel like we've tried very well. Now, many people I interpreted as Robin and her family initially, until she kind of went on and until Janelle had her answer too. But Suki does ask a good question, who are you referring to? And Mary and Robin, never giving specifics about anything, gave the response, I've heard it from multiple people.
What people?
But we cut to Janelle, who obviously was asked the same question, and Janelle says, we didn't take the time to blend and listen to our children very well. We just told the kids, this is what we're doing. Wow. So I'm now thinking that yes, Robin probably said that she did not feel like they blended very well, but I feel like maybe even if we go back and look at Mariah at the time, I'm pretty sure there was some pretty negative talk from her about the family coming in. So I feel like all those teenagers were in their teenage years and had this family their whole lives, and these moms their whole lives, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, here's another mom and here's more kids, instant. You know, add water and stir, boom, we've got more family. One of the kids even made the comment when they were talking about bringing the family in, because they did show one conversation where Cody was like, hey, we're thinking about bringing in Robin and the kids. Are you all okay with that? Are you going to go against the patriarchy with all the TLC cameras there and say, Dad, I don't think it's a good idea. But on the side, one of the kids said, we have enough mouths to feed already. How are we ever going to add 3 more? Really 4 more, because Robin and her 3 kids. So they weren't 100% on board, but they played the part at the beginning. But then their true emotions we're starting to learn now we're not just starting to learn now. We saw some talking heads back then where the teenagers were all on the couch, all pretty much saying, these kids weren't raised like us. They're kind of like little brats. They whine a lot. They cry a lot. They run to mommy a lot. They want to be siblings, but when we treat them like siblings, they don't want to be treated like siblings. So we saw that in prior seasons. Suki then asks Christine, can you come back from this? And Christine said, well, I'm not willing to fix it yet. She's been saying that for a little bit. She did qualify it a little bit here. She says, there are still blown out of proportion comments being made that are so outlandish that I'm not willing to fix it yet. Which is true. Cody, who loves to use the term trash talking and doesn't like trash talking, doesn't want to be trash talked, really trash talks Christine more than anything.
That would be hypocrisy.
And he says some really hurtful things about her. So I could see her being like, listen, I'm not interested in mending anything. But she points out, with the kids, absolutely. With Cody and Robin, not so much. Not now, anyway.
That's never going to happen. Ever, 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 ever.
And then we cut to the very end, which I was kind of excited about, but it fell flat for me. It was the interview with Christine starting to talk about David. We saw David come in at the very end and sit down, but we're not going to hear him answer questions or speak until the next hello. So Christine is very excited at the beginning. She says she's engaged to the love of her life. She seems very happy. It's nice, but Christine is just too over-enthusiastic. Like, it's too over the top.
I'm in love and I don't care who knows it.
And I know that's who she is. Because again, I'm going back and I'm starting to rewatch all of the seasons. And she has many times where she's over the top like this. So like when she's excited or if she's like really trying to sell something, she amps it up a level. And the reality is Christine kind of lives up here to begin with anyway. So when she amps it up, it can be a turnoff to some people. It is to me. I don't live up there.
Maybe you should.
I just want to say take it down a notch. At any rate, Christine goes on to say he's charming, he's kind, he's sweet, and he says everything right.
He's perfect.
That was a red flag when I heard he says everything right. That made me a little bit nervous, but I don't know him. I don't know their situation. I did like the fact that she said that she realized she was falling in love with him by date number 4 when he was having a birthday party and his whole family was going to be there and he invited her to come. And so she got an opportunity to meet his whole family. So that helps the red flag turn pink because when you spend a and mix and mingle with family, you find out truths and you find out who the person really is. And you find out deep, dark secrets they might have.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
You find out about past relationships. And I believe he's a widow. I think his first wife passed away. The instant on guard feeling I had kind of relaxed when I'm like, okay, she spent a lot of time with his family. She is really finding out who the real David is. But she explains her falling in love. I don't know, maybe it's me. Maybe it's just I'm an old bitter woman who's been married for so long that I just can't relate anymore.
Practically a hat.
To this, but she talks about when she put her head on his chest at this birthday party, it was like she took her first breath. And it was like her heartbeat for the first time. I don't like it when Cody's poetic. I don't like it when Christine's poetic. I'm much more practical of a person. I'm a left brain person. Just state it like it is. She did say, I didn't know what I didn't have before. He's my soulmate and I love him. And I like that at the end. And she was calmer at that point when she was talking about it. So that resonated with me. And I'm happy for her.
My person.
Suki follows up with, how is he different from Cody? And her answer is, he loves me. Truth bombs, right? And she adds, I don't have to do anything to earn his love. The weight off her shoulders, how relaxed she must feel now compared to how she lived the rest of her life. I'm happy for the place that she's in right now.
I wanna be loved by you, just you, nobody else but you.
It ends with Suki saying, so did you just know? And Christine says yes. I think I'm enjoying the drama a little too much myself. Maybe I am the same person as Robin on the personality test. But if I took a personality test and it told me that's what I was, I would just say, okay, I guess you're right. I watch reality TV. I must love drama, but I enjoy the drama a lot more than this sweet part at the very end.
You're sick.
It's lovely. It's nice. I just felt like they could have stuck it in the middle and couched it with catfishing and text chain. But I understand they were doing it as a lead into the next episode. So, okay, we are caught up. My goal is, because Monday is Christmas for our family, that I would be able to watch the video on Tuesday morning and get out at least the first of 2 videos by Tuesday evening for you all. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Jingle